I thought I would start by telling you a little bit about my family. I'm the father of 6 grown children. 4 of them are married happily. We'll have 9 grandchildren this summer. And I wanted to know a little bit about this group here. Comes from anybody from a public school that's here tonight? Okay? Public school parents, good. Homeschoolers, nice, good. And how many of you have barely any idea about classical education? Okay, so a couple, 3. Okay, good. Well, I hope by the end of the night you'll have a lot tonight. The first question I'm going to try to answer is, why do classical education? Why this kind of education versus going down the street anywhere? The second one is what we've done in Marquette, and then the third one is why does it matter? Our bishop, Bishop Don Derfler, had spoke to the principals recently, and he described a general theme in our culture, which he calls a technocratic paradigm. You maybe have heard that, I don't know, it's out there. I'm going to talk about it in 2 levels. On the global or broad cultural level, what this means is we want to control nature for our use. We want to do that through abusing the environment, controlling our own sexuality, all the technology that keeps needing to advance, all of this artificial intelligence in automobiles, it's just what our culture is. And the basic thinking behind this paradigm is if we can do something, we should do it. We never ask the question seriously, should we do it? So on a personal level, this is changing us in profound ways. Video games, cell phones, Google that. Meaning of life becomes the information we have at our fingertips. This information is shallow. It's not deep thinking or like a conversation you might have with someone for 2 or 3 hours without your cell phone, or reading a good book that really makes you think deeply about something. So think about where we're at and how fast things are going 20 to 40, 50 years from now. Now you're thinking about my grandkids. How does one learn to swim upstream in a culture consumed with these distractions and this superficiality? Pope Benedict Emeritus wrote something 2 days ago. One of the great and essential tasks of our evangelization is, as far as we can, to establish habitats of faith and, above all, to find and recognize them. To see and find the living church is a wonderful task which strengthens us and makes us joyful in our faith time and again. When the going gets tough, the tough get going. Schools like St. Michael's, facing the challenges of starting something in this culture, this area. I am now a part of a small group of 8 Catholic superintendents around the country who all have the same desires that I've kind of been accomplishing up in Marquette, and that is to bring their schools on board with a Catholic liberal arts approach. In the Archdiocese of Detroit, if you read their recent strategic plan that came out about a month ago, they are working on a pilot with 3 or 4 of their schools to roll out classical curriculum. All of this to say that the momentum is very, very, very real. And it's really, really exciting. There are 500,000 students in the country that are studying in classical schools, whether they be Catholic, Christian, charter, or private. Primary focus of liberal arts education is the true development of freedom of the person to allow them to live a more complete life. And freedom here means freedom to choose the good. From a school that I highly respect, here's a few of the things they say that a liberal arts education accomplishes. Respect for the proper use of language, written, spoken, and read. Sincere asking of questions, or what I say is the ability to slow down and think deeply about things. Recognition and appreciation of good, true, and beautiful. Fruits of liberal arts education include a broad understanding of reality, clarity in thought, excellence in writing, effective speaking skills. But beyond all these awesome goals, the Catholic liberal arts education goes further because its primary purpose is to assist students to develop their friendship with Jesus Christ. And we also work hard on the moral and intellectual formation of the students, which takes virtue. So upon the arrival in our diocese approximately 10 years ago, I visited with each principal and teacher, one-on-one, and asked everyone, what curriculum were they using? The answer that they most consistently came up with was Michigan State Standards, in which they sometimes added that they integrated Catholic values into those standards. If you look across the country at most dioceses, and I've worked in 6 dioceses in my career, 35 years, in 5 states, and I was superintendent in 2 states, so I know 12 or 13 other superintendents, and my experience has shown that Catholic schools curriculum across the country are generally in line with the curriculum standards of public schools. Take, for example, the many dioceses that have adopted the Common Core standards in language arts, which were adopted by most public schools in our country. Speaking of the Common Core standards, I want to make these comparisons while we're doing this. I went to the website to look for the answer to this question of what are their goals in those standards. And to quote the standards from the Common Core, the college and career readiness anchor standards form the backbone of the English language arts literacy standards by articulating core knowledge and skills. They are: students will learn to use cogent reasoning and evidence collection skills that are essential for success in college, career, and life. I'm just going to read that last part again. Students will learn to use cogent reasoning and evidence collection skills that are essential for success in college, career, and life. Okay. Are these acceptable goals in themselves? Sure, they're acceptable goals. But they're goals that our schools go well beyond them by teaching the classical curriculum. To make the point I was making earlier, are they the only goals or the best goals for a person to flourish as an adult? No, not even close. They're not. So I'm repeating for the 3rd time. I watched Dale talk, and he said that if you say something 3 times, you might have heard it. The basic goal of a Catholic liberal arts education is to help our grandchildren and children become free to choose the good in their lives, to know that there is a truth about reality and goodness and beauty matters. This is the most complete education we can offer our children and grandchildren. If we do this well, it naturally leads them to the source of all goodness, truth, and beauty, which is Jesus Christ and our eternal life with him. Bishop John says that we go beyond the standards to the formation of the students. And I think that's succinct in a sentence. True. If I use the argument from history, for 2,000 years in the Western tradition, the Catholic Church adopted, right around the time of Augustine, this kind of education. That was in 400. Through Charlemagne, Aquinas, Ignatius, all the Jesuit high schools and colleges, they've all followed this model. John Henry Newman, soon to be a saint. So the church has clearly embraced this educational model. In a sense, what we're doing is recovering it, I guess. We're just taking it back. I put in here the study of the founding fathers, because I think everybody knows this, but they were classically educated. And our country was formed upon these ideas, the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence. Their ideas of these principles formulated regarding justice and freedom, it was because of their formation in the Greek and Roman authors. So to summarize these reflections on the question, why do this in the first place, I tried to make the case that we are choosing to educate classically in the Catholic tradition because it is the best form of education there is, in its goals, its methods, and its results.